Hi! Welcome to this part of my review featuring the Heroes and Hardships core rulebook. This is the early access version. If you haven't seen the other parts of my review featuring this universal RPG system, please check out the playlist in the description below. You will also find links to the website, to the Discord, to the Tetsubo section of the website. Tetsubo is an upcoming setting inspired by Japan's Sengoku era. You will also find links to my reviews of the Quickstart guide and the Wallace campaign setting, based on the life and exploits of William Wallace. So please check it out. Now let's continue. This time we are going to talk about traditional magic and superpowers, that is, more specific effects concerning these two ways of using magic in Heroes and Hardships. Let's start with traditional magic. Characters that have wizard-like abilities related to magic should take the ability Magic User. This ability unlocks 4 skills that may be required to cast and control magic. These skills are Psyche, Essence, Shape, and Harness. Characters may study traditional magic like any other academic field. This allows characters to cast magic that do not have an innate ability to channel it. Characters that do not have the ability Magic User can still use magic in this way. However, they do so differently and with increased difficulty. Characters without the Magic User ability may use the Arcana skill. The Arcana skill may be used to cast any spell that the character knows. All Arcana skill checks that are used to cast a spell suffer 1 hardship. Now, when it comes to casting spells, this is completed by making a skill check with the governing skill of the spell. The caster must have at least 1 skill rank in the skill used to make the skill check. Magic skills may not be used untrained. Now, concerning magic defense, each character has a magic defense that helps ward off the effects of magic. This works similarly to base defense in combat. Magic defense is active even if a character is unconscious or is otherwise unable to defend himself or herself. To calculate magic defense, this is willpower plus fate plus focus, all of this multiplied by 2. When the target of a spell is willing to suffer the effects of a spell, do not use their magic defense. Their magic defense is considered 0, but roll spell dice as normal. Sometimes spells target locations, objects, or other things with a magic defense. If the spell is hostile, use the magic defense of the nearest hostile creature or object. If there are multiple enemies in the same range, use the one with the highest magic defense. If there are no enemies nearby, consider the magic defense to be 0. Never use active defenses in conjunction with magic defense. Casters use the appropriate magic skill to target defenders. Magic moves unerringly, and skills used in melee or ranged weapons are unnecessary to hit targets. The skill check to cast and hit targets use the same skill check. When targeting an unwilling character with a spell, add their magic defense and the spell dice of the spell the character is casting. This becomes the target number of the skill check. If there is no target, or the target is willing, the difficulty of casting a spell is challenging plus spell dice. Spell dice help determine what the target number of a spell is. For each spell dice a spell has, add 1d10 to the target number of the skill check. Spell dice explode. Every spell begins with 1 spell die. Add 1 spell die for each valid spell level added to the spell. Combine all spell dice together to form the total spell dice rolled. Now, when it comes to hardships and pre-roll modifiers, any hardships or pre-roll modifiers that affect the character at the time of casting are applied to the magical skill check. The total caster's skill check, including any pre-roll modifiers, benefits, and hardships, is called the base success value. Roll the appropriate number of spell dice and add it to the target's magic defense. This is the base defense value. Subtract the base defense value from the base success value. If the result is 0 or greater, the skill check and spell succeeds. If the spell's potency causes any post-roll modifiers, such as damage, add it to the total. It is possible that the target has magical reduction. If so, subtract it from the total. The new total is called the total success value. Apply the manifestation effects based on the levels used in the casting. Now when it comes to magical reduction, sometimes a target has magical reduction, which is a post-roll modifier that lowers the total success value. Magical reduction never affects whether a spell is successfully cast. A character may have a number of spells equal to their focus skill rank multiplied by 2. Let's talk about surging. A caster may surge when either empowering a spell too greatly or attempting to contain the difficulty of a spell. Controlling a surge is highly dependent on a character's focus skill. The ramifications of any surge are the same for either type of surge. When making a skill check to cast a spell, count the number of times any die explodes. This could occur on the same die as it explodes multiple times. If more explosions occur than that character's focus skill, the skill check is said to surge. A skill surge may happen regardless of whether the skill check failed or succeeded. Now when it comes to the spell surge, when rolling spell dice to determine the difficulty of a spell, count the number of times an explosion occurs. This could occur on the same die as it explodes multiple times. If more dice explode than that character's focus skill, the spell dice roll is said to surge. When a surge occurs, make a focus skill check against the base success value of the skill surge or the total of the spell surge. This is called a surge roll. If there is both a skill surge and a spell surge during the same casting, use the highest of the two. If the focus skill check fails, then roll on the surge effects table from the effects of the surge. Upon failure, subtract the total of the focus skill check from the original roll that surged. This is called the surge failure value. If there was both a skill surge and a spell surge during the same skill check, remove one surge die when making a surge effect roll. The first step in assigning surge effects is to determine the surge level. The surge level of a surge is based on the character's magical defense and the surge failure value of the surge. There are 3 surge levels: superficial, moderate, and terrible. If the surge failure value does not meet the caster's magic defense, no surge effect roll is required. Surge effect dice are d10s used on surge effect rolls. The more surge effect dice a player rolls, the better chance a surge effect is mild. Surge effect dice do not explode. Surge effects are different for each magic type and for each magical skill. To determine the surge effect, find the related table based on the skill check made. When rolling for surge effects, roll 3 d10s or 3 10-sided dice plus the surge effect dice. The surge effect dice are determined by the severity of the surge. No dice explode on surge effect rolls. Superficial rolls 2 surge effect dice. Moderate rolls 1 surge effect die. And terrible rolls none. Let me give you a few examples of these different surge effects. Under the Arcana category, perhaps an incantation goes awry and magic affects the caster deeply. The game master must apply 2 levels of floss to the Arcanist. Or maybe the caster temporarily forgets their studies. Arcana skill checks suffer 2 hardships instead of 1 hardship for 1 week. Under the Essence category, maybe the magic diseases the spiritualist. They gain the diseased mortal flaw. Or maybe the spiritualist ages rapidly in a few moments, reaching what is considered old age for their ancestry. Under the Harness category, maybe a golden glow begins to envelop the sorcerer at all times. Any attempts to use stealth suffers 2 hardships. However, the sorcerer lowers any sense sight impediments by 1 level. Or maybe, wherever the sorcerer travels, there is always inclement weather at night. Under the Shape category, maybe the Shaper's body constantly feels heavy and difficult to move. They gain this low flaw. Or perhaps the Shaper's armor and clothing become brittle. All armor the Shaper is wearing gains the cheap quality. And these are just a few examples of the different surge effects when it comes to traditional magic. Now let's talk about superpowers. Characters that have innate powers should take the ability Superpowers. This ability unlocks 4 skills that may be required to use these powers. These skills are Psyche, Essence, shape, and hardness. Activating a power is completed by making a skill check with the governing skill of the power. The caster must have at least one skill rank in the skill used to make the skill check. Magic skills may not be used untrained. Magic defense is only used in relation to superpowers when the target cannot or chooses not to defend. As stated earlier, never use active defenses in conjunction with magic defense. Sometimes powers target locations, objects, or other things with a magic defense. If the power is hostile, use the magic defense of the nearest hostile creature or object. If there are multiple enemies in the same range, use the one with the highest magic defense. If there are no enemies nearby, consider the magic defense to be 0. Let's talk about active resistance. Superpowers are almost always opposed by an active resistance. Superpowers are never resisted by spell dice. When the skill check to activate a power is made, compare it to the target's magic defense. If the skill check is lower than the magic defense of the target, they need not defend. If the skill check is higher, the target may defend if they wish. The power's manifestation will indicate what skill check to make to oppose the powers. When activating a power that either targets an ally, self, or something that may not roll an active resistance, then use a difficulty of challenging. Resisting powers does not require an action, and it doesn't cost action points. Those with powers use the appropriate magic skill to target defenders. Targets undergo a much greater effect if a superpower is successful or not, as they can usually use an active resistance to resist. The skill check to activate powers and hit targets is the same. When targeting an unwilling character with a power, the target defends with their active resistance as indicated by the manifestation in question. This becomes the target number of the powers. Any hardships or pre-roll modifiers that affects the character at the time of activation are applied to the magical skill check. The total of a user's skill check, including any pre-roll modifiers and hardships, is called the base success value. Roll the appropriate active resistance skill check. This is the base defense value. Subtract the base defense value from the base success value. If the result is 0 or greater, the skill check and power succeeds. If the spell's potency causes any post-roll modifiers, such as damage, add it to the total. It is possible that the target has magical reduction. If so, subtract it from the total. The new total is called the total success value. Apply the manifestation effects based on the levels used in the power. Sometimes a target has magical reduction. This is similar to traditional magic. Magical reduction is a post-roll modifier that lowers the total success value. Magical reduction never affects whether a spell is successfully cast. Now, concerning power limits, a character may have a number of powers equal to their focus skill rank multiplied by 2. A single power may have a number of additional effect levels greater than the baseline effects equal to their focus skill rank multiplied by 2. Now, when it comes to surging in superpowers, a superhero may surge when empowering a power too greatly. Controlling a surge is highly dependent on a character's focus skill. The ramifications of a power surge are shown on the power surge table. When making a skill check to activate a power, count the number of dice that explode. If more dice explode than that character's focus skill, the skill check is said to surge. A skill surge may happen regardless of whether the skill check failed or succeeded. Unlike traditional magic, there are no spell surges for superpowers. When a surge occurs, make a focus skill check against the base success value of the skill surge. This is called a surge roll. If the focus skill check fails, then roll on the surge effects table for the effects of the surge. Upon failure, subtract the total of the focus skill check from the original roll that surged. This is called the surge failure value. Surge levels are determined exactly the same as traditional magic. However, surge tables for powers and traditional magic are different. Let's talk about some of these superpower surge effects. Under the essence category, maybe animals are disturbed by the superhero's presence. The superhero or supervillain gains the ire of animals' flaw. Or maybe plants grow uncontrollably while the superhero is near. Under the psych or psychic category, maybe the superhero constantly hears the whispers of spirits or entities around them. They gain the bad sense hearing flaw. Or maybe when the superhero sleeps, they unconsciously describe their dreams. And these are just a few examples of the superpower search effects. This concludes this part of the review. In the next part, we are going to talk about other magic rules and the manifestations. Now, I think that both magic subsystems take a bit of time to get used to, but once you have the hang of it, you will be able to use them like a standard attack or more mundane offensive action, and the search effects lend them a certain dungeon crawl classics or weird sorcery unpredictability. Even superpowers work in uncertain ways in comic books, so this table allows you to represent that with heroes and hardships. Thank you for watching this part of the review, and thank you for your likes and your comments. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, the information on how to do that will be in the description below. Once again, thank you, and see you later.